Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Layla here, and today I'm going to be checking out the brand new Ohuhu spiral bound sketchbooks. They just came out with these, and just a heads up, this is a sponsored video, but all thoughts on these two sketchbooks are my own. So I haven't opened them yet. They come completely enclosed in a tight plastic packaging. And I'm assuming these two sketchbooks are pretty much the same as their book-bound sketchbooks, just with the spiral spine. So right off the bat, my only issue is this cover. So the book-bound sketchbook have this really thick, durable hardcover to it, whereas this is like a soft cover. Kind of feels like it could be like really easily removed. I mean, if you wanted to. I mean, I don't think it's not going to fall out, but I don't know. It's definitely not as sturdy as something like this, but I am curious to know if the price will reflect that. As of making this video, this product hasn't exactly been released. When I release this video, it will have been released, but the price to me is unknown at the moment. So I am curious if they will end up being slightly less expensive due to the fact that it does not have a hardcover, and also the fact that all the information's kind of like printed on the cover too. So for instance, if you watched my video on my acrylic markers, I took my Ohuhu sketchbook. Where is it? Hold on. Here it is. This is my other Ohuhu sketchbook. I took this Ohuhu sketchbook and I was able to use my acrylic markers to kind of just do the front and back cover, and it was really cool. That's not really something you can do with this new one. You could do the back, I guess, personalize it that way. But yeah, as far as the front, that doesn't seem to be an option. And I just mentioned that because I know a lot of artists like to personalize things, especially when it comes to something as creative and personal as a sketchbook. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. The books come with this little pamphlet, and on the cover just says Ohuhu Marker Pads, create something wonderful today. If you find the product does not meet your expectation, let us know, and a refund is on its way. If there's any problems with the product, contact us and a free replacement is on its way. And then it's got contact us, support@ohuhu.com. And then inside it just covers what is Ohuhu, like the company and stuff, and what they're doing. And then it gets into their markers, which their markers pretty much go in tandem with their marker pads, of course. So that's pretty cool that they include that information. And then they talk about their marker pads that they have on the market. Currently, they have the book-bound ones. They have one size at 8.3 inches by 8.3, 11.7 by 8.3, and 6.9 by 6.5. And then it tells you the number of sheets. On the first two, it's 78 with 156 pages, 200 GSM, which is very good. It's a lot for each page so that the marker ink will seep through to the back of the page, but that thickness provides just enough where the ink doesn't stain the next page. So that's good. And then they've listed their two spiral bound sketchbooks. So each of these have 60 sheets, which is 120 pages total. They also have the 200 GSM, so that's good too. The only real difference is, like I said, the cover and the fact that it's spiral bound. And that's kind of good for a lot of things. I know artists, sometimes it feels limiting to have a book bound sketchbook because it's hard to have it so stiff. So basically you're drawing on this side and then you're drawing on that side, but sometimes artists like to not have this kind of space here if you're working here, or if you're working here, not to have this here. And that's one of the cool benefits of a spiral bound. You can just open it up, and you can keep it this way if you wanted to, but you can go ahead and flip it over and there you go. Or the other side, boom. I personally like to work on this side just because the spiral bound, I don't like it being in my way when I'm trying to like draw. It's just encumbersome, I suppose you could say. And then it imprints on your wrist and that hurts. And so I will most likely be using it this way. And then, let's see. It also lists here heavyweight drawing papers, which I covered is 200 GSM, acid-free art papers with maximum blendability. It does have really good blendability. And I do mention that again because I have the Crescent Render sketchbook that a lot of artists recommend. And it's good, don't get me wrong. I really like it. There's no bleed through whatsoever, so that is super cool. But I do wonder if the fact that it doesn't have that bleed through, some sort of product or how it's made makes it extremely difficult to blend. And I don't know why. It's just really hard. Me personally, you'll know that blending's part of my process, but it's not a huge part of my process. I tend to like that cell shade kind of look, so I'm not real crazy about the whole blendability thing, but I know a few of you are, and these do blend pretty well for being sketchbooks while also making sure that the bleed through isn't like astronomical. That said, they still do include this cool little filter kind of page. And basically you just go ahead and you open up to a page and you put it under. And that way you can really prevent any bleed through from this page onto this page. There's still going to be bleed through onto the back. It's going to happen. It's impossible. You can't prevent that unless you start using whatever formula it is that Render sketchbooks use. Again, I have no idea what it is, but yeah. And honestly, I haven't experienced any bleed through onto the next page with my previous Ohuhu sketchbooks. Like I did this full spread here, and if I go to the next page, you'll see the bleed through here, but not on this page. So it's still really good, but I guess they provide this just as a precaution because some artists do tend to really layer their ink. So I guess you could see that it could potentially get some bleed through onto this page. So this is nice to have. And then on the back page of the pamphlet, they talk about how to tear out the page. It's pretty easy. You can just go ahead, take it, bend it right at the crease. And then once you do that, just bloop, yank it out. And that's that. On the other side of the pamphlet, they have cute little pictures of all their marker pads here, spiral bound, and the 3 book bound ones, along with their markers, and then a piece of art in one of their sketchbooks. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna go ahead. Oh, and they have their social media profiles, so you can visit them at ohuhu.com, or you can look them up, Ohuhu, on YouTube, or follow them on Instagram at Ohuhu Art, and that's that. All right, so I covered the basics. I covered what I like so far upon first impressions and what I don't like upon first impressions. I'm going to personally use this smaller one. I like the square sort of look, so this one I'm going to put to the side. This is 10 inches by 7.6 inches. So put it over here. And then this is 8.9 inches by 8.3 inches. And so I went ahead and drew this up on the first page. It's kind of a callback to that piece that I made during Inktober with the forest nymph wrapping her hair around the trees. And it's just a piece that I really loved a lot. And I've wanted to not redo it, but just kind of do another similar theme. This one's going to be a bit different though, because that character was green, and with this character I'm doing a mint sort of blue for her skin color. And it was definitely unintentional, but it kind of looks like she's a water nymph this time, which I definitely feel makes a lot of sense given that she's bringing life to these like branches. I don't know. I just think it's kind of cool. Tried doing a drop shadow for her curls, like onto her skin. Not sure if it really worked out all that well, but I feel like it passes that just good enough test. Like it may not be completely accurate, but I think it can kind of fool you. I don't know. And then I'm going to do her hair green. And this is where I'm really hoping the blendability of this sketchbook shines, because right now I'm using 3 different greens. So I went from GY5 which is absinthe, to GY4, which is yellow-green, and now I'm using this GY163, which is green bice, and yeah, it's looking really good. I'm also going to add in a little bit of the GY3, which is just a really strong kind of green, just to give the hair a bit more dimension, and then repeat the process. So I'm using my darkest green here, and then my second green that's less dark, and I'm moving up, and then on the other side, I'm going to move it down and switch back to my lightest green, color in up here so that it connects to the roots, and then I'm going to go over here and color in this area. So that we've kind of got this like gradient where it goes from the roots being dark to going into a lighter gradient of green so that it looks shiny, and then back into the dark gradient, into a lighter gradient. And I pretty much just put that technique all over the hair. And then after repeating that same process of hair coloring all over, you end up with something like this. Not completely done, but I also sort of see why Ohuhu has added this under thing for, because I've been coloring on the very edges and just sort of going right onto the next page. Like the top page will be like just slightly ajar from the next page, and I'll just color right on the next page, and it's a mess. So maybe I should start using this. And the leaves are going to be green, but with all of this green hair taking up most of the canvas space, I feel like I may do it a different shade of green. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see, because I want them to pop out and not look like they're blending in with her hair. Kind of thinking I'm just going to do them pink, or like a reddish pink. I mean, it'll probably look a little weird, but I think the color will really complement all the green and blue that I've got going on here. Yeah, I think it works. I was kind of afraid it would look super abnormal, which is kind of silly because the girl has blue skin, so I think normal went out the window with that. I didn't think I'd like it this much. I was kind of expecting a failure, so it's nice to make a last minute decision just on a whim and have it work out. Yay! I do want to add a bit more tint to the upper lip because it should be darker. Sure, it works. I do still want to add a little bit of shinies here and there. So I'm using the Ohuhu gel pen in white, and I'm adding it to her nose, her lips. You can also use it to sort of fix certain areas. Like I got a little bit of green on her ear, so I'm just gonna go over it with the white and make it kind of conveniently look like a bit of a highlight. Sure, it works. And maybe a little bit of shininess to the hair. Nothing too dramatic though, and a little to the leaves. And that's that. So it's nice that I was able to not feel so encumbered with such a big sort of sketchbook that I could just sort of flip it over like that and work. And I really feel that the hair pretty much exemplifies how well the blending can be with your Ohuhu markers on the marker pad. And on the back there is bleed through, like I've mentioned, and there was actually bleed through on this page. So yeah, this little cover definitely comes in handy, both for the edges, if you plan on coloring right on the edge, and for any potential bleed through onto the next page. Other than that, I had a lot of fun. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.